Welcome to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
I'm your co-host, Pastor Wayne Moore.
Always a pleasure to host with you.
Good to be with you again, Governor.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show today.
It is. And
some wonderful guests.
Some wonderful guests, and I have some beautiful pieces of fashion to present to us today.
Absolutely. I want to thank you all for tuning in each and every Sunday at 5:30 and on Friday nights at 9:30 p.m. So please share the information with your friends. And
like us on Facebook.
They can like us on Facebook.
Right.
Go to YouTube.
And just rewind those shows and pull them back up, and whatever you missed, you can always regain it.
Now, we always talk about the information that we've collected over almost 2 years' time.
Great information. We've been blessed to be able to present information to the community, to where the community can find certain things going on at certain times in the community. And I'm grateful that we're in a position to do that for our community.
Yeah, so we'll be joined by Deborah Dorman and Jody Deffert.
Yes, we're gonna have a great time with these beautiful ladies, and they're looking forward to being on the show with us today.
I want to thank our sponsors, Lee, Castle, and Crawley.
And the Stewart Mortuary, who's been helping this community for many years with bereavement, and Fervent Care Christian Academy.
Yeah, Christian, clean, and caring. Give them a call at 317-898-2751. Choose Christian schools and daycares. They are closer to Christ.
Yeah, and stay with us. We'll be right back here shortly.
Welcome back, and I tell you, it's going to be really, really
Yes.
blessed. We're joined today by Deborah Dorman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Good to have you back.
It's great to be back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And a very special guest, Jody Deffert.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here. All these beautiful hats. Tell us about them.
We are here representing the Fashion Art Society of Newfields, the Indianapolis Museum of Art. And every year they have a benefit. It's called Hats Off 2018. Mm-hmm. This particular year is a very special year because the guest lecturer is the Mad Hatter of New York City, or Manhattan. And her name is Abigail Aldridge. And she's going to be bringing her collection of hats as well. Not only will she be bringing her collection, but we have on exhibit the Bez Ben hat collection originally from Chicago in the early 1900s.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Definitely a fascinator.
Yeah.
Yes. So that is going to be an exciting time. It's April 24th. The event starts at 10:30. And I'm very proud to say that Jody Deffert is one of our Fashion Art Society Hall of Fame inductees. And I'm very fortunate that I am one of the ones that get to give her an award this year. And we have 5 others. And we get the Best Hat Award as well offered. And the entire event goes towards the Newfields exhibit for the Fashion Art Society.
Tell us about the Newfield exhibit.
So Bez Ben was the Mad Hatter of Chicago. It was a company that existed from the early 1900s through the 1960s and really was world-renowned. His hats were very avant-garde for the time, worn by a lot of celebrities and fashionistas. They're highly collectible now and can still be found and collected. I actually have one here that is part of my personal collection from 1957, but we will have about 60 hats on display at the Indianapolis Museum of Art at Newfields that you can come and take a look at and see how hat couture has evolved over the years.
That's phenomenal. This is going to be interesting. You know, in the arena in which Pastor Jackson and I work in or serve in, hats are phenomenal.
Yes.
Women in the churches love to wear hats. And that hat you pointed to earlier is over, 40 years old now? Mm-hmm. Wow.
More older than that. It's from the mid-1950s.
Wow, that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. And that's part of your collection?
That is part of my collection. It is actually a Bez Ben designed hat. Mm-hmm. The beehive, it looks like black licorice with little bumblebees all over it, is one of the designs that he was
How did you get into hats?
I have worn hats my entire life. I have always loved them. I wear them to church, not just on Easter. I wear them to the Kentucky Derby. I have always loved hats, and I have amassed a really large collection at this point. My husband might say too large, but I love them.
We consider Jody the Fashion Art Society hat woman, hat lady. She is phenomenal, and it's not just a hat, it's a creation. Just like you see these phenomenal hats here, she has an entire creation, a collection that it's amazing. You couldn't even fill the table here.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell us about the Fashion Art Society. Are there memberships, or people can get involved? How does all that work?
If it's worldwide or how?
Fashion Art Society is locally based. It's here in Indianapolis. It started about 6 years ago, and actually, Jody and I were part of a board, and we're part of the committee. I'd also like to toot Jody's horn. She was one of the founders of it. She was a chairperson, which she's done many events for. So I'm always back as her biggest fan. But this particular one, 2018, the Fashion Art Society, it's all going hand in hand. And in order for anyone to be able to come to this, you don't have to be a member. You can be a non-member. In fact, we highly recommend that non-members come as well as members. I'm also on the membership committee, so I'm the chairperson of that. So I'm always looking for new members, very good-looking people, or what, fashionistas, and the two of you are
He
that.
does look well, doesn't he?
Fashionista.
Yeah, he does look well.
That's the
Well,
term.
he does look well because he shared with me who makes him look so well.
Yeah.
And we have a mutual friend, Andrew Porter,
Yeah.
that I'd like to shout out to. He also is going to be getting the Fashion Art Society Fashion Hall of Fame inductee this year.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the Fashion Art Society is affiliated with the Indianapolis Museum of Art at Newfields. It is the largest growing affiliate group of the museum. And so if you are a member of the museum, or if you're interested in exploring the museum and learning about and supporting the textile department of the museum, which is actually a world-class collection of garments and textiles, we would love to have new membership in the Fashion Art Society.
Outstanding. And Jody, you mentioned textiles, and of course that helped to really build the economic base of this country. In America, where we don't see people, or maybe you all see a little bit more than I do you think people are kind of getting away from fashion and dressing up? It used to be everybody had hats on, and fashion was big. You had church clothes, you had school clothes. Your thoughts on that? How do you all see it?
I think that is a little bit the case. I think that we are a much more casually dressed society, but I think that people still clamor for opportunities to dress up. I speak with men and women all the time who say, "You're wearing a hat. I wish I had the courage to wear a hat. I'd love to wear a hat." And they just want the opportunity where they're not going to feel like they're the only person in the room. So I say, come to Hats Off. Just have courage and wear a hat. People will appreciate it. And so what I find is that people appreciate those who put the effort into dressing well, but I do think in general we are a more casual society now.
I also think that when you dress well, you feel well. So it works hand in hand. And to be able to walk into a room with a beautiful hat on, and you walk into that room, because probably no one else will be having one on, you own that room. You are that fashionista. And, to go back to the church, and yes, that's really where it all stemmed from.
Yes.
The beautiful women and men that go to church. And that's where I grew up watching all these fashionistas way back, maybe 60 some years ago, walking into a church room. And it didn't have to be Easter Sunday either.
No.
And they all walked in, and they were so glamorous and so dramatic. And I think that when people like us, and there's many of us, so that you must know, there's a lot of fashionistas running around. You don't know you're a fashionista, but you are, the two of you.
Yes.
I like that. I like that
I
word.
like your word. Fashion.
Fashionista.
Okay.
And we're going to take a quick break, Deborah. When we come back,
Yes.
I want to talk more about that fashionista and kind of go back to fashion that really, really makes a difference. So stay with us. We'll be back after this.
Fashionista. Okay.
You always say
Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices, and we want to thank our sponsors, Lee Castle and Crowley.
Yes, the Stuart Mortuary, who's been serving us by way of bereavement for many years in Indianapolis, and Fervent Care Christian Academy.
Absolutely, give them a call.
Yes, who's making sure young people get great educations.
Yeah, we have some wonderful guests here today that we've been talking with, Deborah Dorman and Jody Defford. Again, we want to thank you all for being with us. Two exquisite fashionistas. And before the break, we were talking about that word. So what we'd like to do is give us the etymology on that word fashionista, and then talk about, you talked about the hat to our far left here, and kind of give us the background on these other hats as well.
Sure. I think that a fashionista, I mean, and I'm only going to go by what I feel and how I am as I'd like to portray myself. I'm someone who really takes a lot of pride in myself. And it doesn't matter if I'm wearing an outfit from, you know, Target or an outfit from Nordstrom's. I'm going to do the best that I possibly can with that garment. And I'm going to make it look like it came right out of some magazine. Okay, so you don't even know what or how much anything I have on. I can dress it up with a hat, with gloves, with shoes. I mean, I'm very big on accessorizing. And in my life, it's really all about the accessories.
So you're telling me that you offer more to the garment than the garment offers to you?
I definitely offer more to the garment. I'm sure Jody would agree with me. We truly, we have a whole system. I mean, we just don't look like this. As I just said before, it's not easy being me.
Right.
but it's so much fun being in that situation when you finally get to show the world, like, wow, look at all you can do.
So that makes you a fashionista.
Well, I think that I always say that fashion is what you buy and style is what you do with it. So it's about taking fashion and deciding what helps you portray yourself as authentically you, and that when you feel confident in what you're wearing and how you've styled yourself, then you can sort of forget that and actually focus on other people and ideas and things. So it's about a confidence, but also an appreciation of garments and how we dress ourselves as art.
And Jody, you mentioned how you style yourself,
Right.
and we also sometimes say how you package yourself. What is it that differentiates people who actually take some time to think about that, and perhaps someone who just throws something on? Like, I don't leave the house without ironing my clothes. That really bothers me. I can't have on a wrinkled shirt or anything like that. I can remember my uncle, Uncle JW we called him, and he showed me his handkerchief, and he put it down real low, and he said, "This is how you wear it." I said, "Well, you can hardly see it." He said, "That's for the intelligent eye." The details.
Pay attention to details.
Yeah, so talk about that, how you style yourself, how you become your style, who you are.
Yeah, I think when you learn to style yourself in a way that is authentically you, you are saying something to people about who you are without ever saying a word. And how you dress will communicate something about your personality and how you perceive yourself and what kinds of things are important to you, whether it's the details or the big picture. And so I think that it's important for people to think about, what are you saying? What do you want to say about yourself with how you dress?
Yeah.
And I think, too, it was just mentioned, this word, it's called wearable art. So I feel every time that someone goes out, or someone like myself goes out, you know, I'm sure they're watching. I feel finally at this stage of my life extremely confident that I can walk into a room and someone's going to say, "Oh, wow, I love what you're wearing," or "Where did you get it?" or whatever. So that in itself is such a flattering and a compliment. And you're so proud to be able to say it, no matter where it was from or what. Just the fact that someone is taking an interest in you. And I want to piggyback on something that, you know, Jody was talking about herself and how she fashions and styles herself. I think that, believe it or not, we're all branded. And I was taught that a while ago when I was very involved in real estate, and still am, of course. But branding is very important if you want it to be. I want it to be. I think you, all three of you, know me very well and probably would look at me and know exactly what the brand was that I am, that I'm all about. And it's my eyewear, of course.
Right.
So that's my brand. So when I walk into the room, they know that I'll be in eyewear. Jody, on the other hand, when she walks into a room, she is branded with her fabulous creations that she puts on top of her head. So in our own little way, we have branded ourselves.
Yeah.
What's your brand?
Mine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you
Just
guys have a brand?
Sharp.
How do you feel about, what would you like to tell everybody out there, through your style?
People always say that I'm going to be sharp or dressed well, and I think that it's important that people would understand that you just don't come out any kind of way. That there's still some forethought, some intentionality about putting yourself together, because it does say something to people about who you are.
And I think I have a casual brand, and I have a sharp brand. I guess I could say it that way. So, and my casual brand never overrides the other brand. I keep them in their categories. And so I think that's part of what people see in me, I think. But every time I see you, you always have interesting eyewear on.
Right,
And so that's your brand.
It's also an
And
image.
gloves. You love
Yeah.
gloves. Yeah.
I love gloves. As I said to you before, accessories are everything. They can dress up or dress down anything, be it, a fashionista, woman, man, whatever. And that's the fun part. It's like going into your grandmother's closet or her attic and pulling out all these pieces, of vintage wear or whatever, and then accessorizing a perfectly plain outfit or whatever. And then you walk out and you feel like $1 million.
Yeah. Let's
It
talk
does it.
about these hats here.
Yeah.
We've got some beautiful hats.
So these hats are all super exciting. The two hats to your right, or I guess the audience's left, those are both hats designed by Abigail Aldrich, who is the milliner from New York City, who is a personal friend of mine, and she is coming to Indianapolis for Hats Off on April 24th. She's going to talk about her hat making process and the history of hats and relate it to Best Bin, our exhibit, which of course the beehive hat I already talked about. And then this pearl confection, which I think is a little bit like a wedding cake, was made by a local milliner. Her name is Jody Bailey, and she has a design studio in the Stutz building downtown.
Yeah.
And she is a local milliner, just really making some fabulous and interesting and unique creations that people right here in Indianapolis can access and have a custom piece made.
Milliner, what do you mean? Explain that to us.
Hat maker.
There we go.
It's a hat maker.
There we go. Now, I have a lady in my church. Excuse me, James.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I have a lady in my church, and her name is Miss Dottie Matthews. This is something that I think that she would wear. I know that for a fact. I've seen her with something similar to that. Miss Matthews wears something similar to that. And that's something she would probably wear, because she's a unique woman and she likes unique.
So she's branded then.
She's branded by her hats, I think. Shouts out to Miss Dottie Matthews.
And this hat here, the one on the front.
Yes. That is an Abigail Aldrich hat as
Okay.
well. It's called a cocktail hat, has a little veil. It's meant to be, you could wear it to church, but it also could be worn in the evening for a nicer event or a nice dinner, and it was made to match a particular dress.
Now, will the folks be able to buy any of these hats at
That
the
was
event?
my question.
There will not be hats for sale at the event. Of course, the Best Bin exhibit will be on display for viewing at the museum, but Abigail will be there, Jody will be there. There will definitely be information available to women
Catalogs, sorta.
to men and women who are interested in exploring where they can purchase custom hats, particularly one-of-a-kind creations.
I want to compliment you. You are wearing that hat.
Oh, thank you.
Tell me a little bit about that. You have the
So,
brooch on it. You have the brooch concept on it.
I do have a brooch on it. So this really is a pretty basic black cloche hat, which was first popularized in the 1920s. I actually added the brooch, and that's something that I will do a lot as part of styling, is that I'll look at, what do I want to wear this today? Am I going to put a red flower on it? Am I going to put a brooch on it? And make it coordinate with my outfit. So this kind of a hat is really versatile and easy to wear in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Looks good on you.
Thank you.
Well, you all have been great guests.
Oh, thank you. We're
Thank-
so happy to be here.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
well,
coming.
Happy to have you.
Thank you.
And we're happy to have you all too. We hope that you have enjoyed it so far. We still have a little bit more with the rundown. We'll be back after this.
Real people, real voices, keep it real.
welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
Your co-host, Pastor Wayne Moore.
And I'm your executive producer, Faith McKinney.
And I am sitting between two fashionistas.
Yes, this is the rundown, and we're going to run it down.
Beautiful hats.
Absolutely. Those hats were, I mean, they are truly haute couture. That's how you have to say it, haute
Really?
couture.
Oh, my
couture.
goodness.
Yes.
Is that what, French, or what is that?
It's kind of French and Indiana haute couture.
Okay.
No, but yeah, they're truly, masterpieces.
Yeah.
I hope
And-
that people will go out on the 24th and see that.
Absolutely.
Especially
yeah.
women in the church, especially like my mother-in-law, Miss Dottie Matthews, and Miss Parthenia, and all of those people, Miss Veal, I can just think of all of my members now who wear hats
Oh, yeah.
on a weekly basis. And
Well,
it's
so
part
many
of their,
people enjoy hats,
Yeah,
and
it's part of their
imagine they
brand.
don't know the origins and the history and the richness that a hat really holds.
it's a crown for a woman.
Well, it's
Crown.
the cross section of fashion where you had the 60s and people were still dressing well, wearing hats. And then you had the 70s, and of course the 80s, everything began to change. I worked at Backrax for a while, and I remember we used to have Hugo Boss suits, Giorgio Armani.
yeah.
And it came down from corporate that we were going business casual, and the whole nation was going business casual. And they
That's
found,
when the nation began to go down.
yeah, well, they found that they were losing productivity. The people were dressing down, and the productivity was going down.
Right.
So I think everybody's, not everybody, but a lot of people are going back to dressing up.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
You got some hats?
I do have hats.
Okay.
I do. We've, even especially in the wintertime, I have to cover up my beautiful,
I understand. Your crown.
my crown.
Yeah.
She's a fashionista.
It's a fashionista. I tell you what, it's been phenomenal to see these ladies.
Beautiful.
Beautiful ladies, and making statements for the fashion arena, and it's phenomenal. It speaks of the church when we talk about hats.
Thanks, Deborah, and thanks, Jody.
Yeah, I want to thank them for coming. Go check them out.
Yeah, thank you all. We hope that you will go out and be a part of the program on the 24th. Until next time, God bless you, and thanks for joining us.